How do you feel about your evangelism? Are you discouraged? Do you feel regrets? Is there shame for you? I think a lot of us struggle with feeling like failures in evangelism, the results that we were looking for, we never really got. Maybe there are people right now that you can think of whom you regret your failure in evangelism. You weren't able to see them come to faith, maybe after years. Who are those people? Maybe it's somebody in your extended or your nuclear family. Maybe it was a coworker, a friend, neighbor, classmate, an ex-spouse or an ex-significant other, maybe a mentor, boss, a child, or a parent. Do you have regrets? Do you have shame over your apparent failures in evangelism? I have some good news today for you from the book of Ephesians. Evangelism's fruit is above your pay grade. It's above your pay grade. You are not the author of your own faith, and so therefore you are not the author of anybody else's faith. We're looking at Paul's letter to the Ephesian church, a church he spent years with and he loved deeply. And he wrote them what a beautiful letter that summarizes in many respects so many of the great doctrines of our faith and encourages us not only with who we are in Jesus, but what God has done and what God does for his church and how we're to walk in that. Ephesians 2, 8 through 10 is a very well-known passage and very comforting. It's certainly comforting to me. It says, "For by grace, the free gift of God, you have been saved through faith." Grace came and gave us faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them. This passage is most often used to encourage people about the nature and the source and the fountainhead of their own faith, that it is God who gives us faith. But today, as opposed to thinking about your own faith, I want to remind you, if you cannot boast over your own faith, and that's true, if you cannot boast over your own faith, what does that say about carrying shame or regret over someone else's lack of faith? If your faith is the gift of God ultimately, and if no one can boast, if he is sovereign, then in the end, no one can accuse you. So if your heart is anything like mine, maybe it immediately starts trying to blame shift even within my own conscience and say, well, then if God is the source of faith, then I should have prayed more. If his word brings faith, then I should have known it better and been better prepared. I should have been ready in season and out of season. I should have done these things better to appeal to God and to use his appointed means of delivering faith. And then I still should have been ready more. I should have prayed more, and then God would have given them faith. And I appreciate that heart in some respect. Yes, please pray. Yes, be ready in and out of season. Yes, be prepared to give a reason for the hope that lies within you. Yes to all those things. But if I then say, if I had just prayed more, then God would have given my father faith. God would have given my coworker faith. That would still be, in the end, a result of my works. If the issue is I didn't pray enough for God to save, then that's saying my works were responsible. And that's the shame side of the pride coin, to say that my faith belongs to my own, then their faith should have belonged to me as well. That would be a result of works. And don't hear what I'm not saying. Again, please do pray. Please do beg the Lord of the harvest to bring in these souls, win people, send his spirit and regenerate hearts. Yes, please pray, but don't assume to yourself the shame and regret if however many prayers you offered or didn't offer, if they were not answered in the way that you hoped. That would be a shame that doesn't belong to you, because the credit for faith is above your pay grade, and that means that the shame and regret for a lack of faith is above your pay grade. You don't have the authority. Now, also then, If your response is, well, then I don't have to share the faith. I don't have to worry at all. I don't have to do anything. That wouldn't make any sense at all, especially to the Ephesians who received this letter. Paul spent years with them sharing the faith. They came to faith through a man who trusted in the sovereignty of God, who trusted that faith was the result of God's choice by grace, but he still labored faithfully. To say, well, then I don't have to evangelize. That would make zero sense to the people of Ephesus, to the church in Ephesus. And it would also deny what Paul says next there in verse 10. He says, you were created for good works which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So yes, evangelize. Yes, strive. Yes, labor faithfully. Not as if it depended upon you, but as if you got to be a part of seeing somebody come to faith, perhaps, depending upon the Lord's will. Yes, pray. Yes, evangelize. But don't assume the responsibility for faith. It's always been above your pay grade. Paul knew that, yet he labored for years over the Ephesian church, loving those people and sharing the gospel and seeing fruit come. It's not that we don't do any work. It's that we lay down our fear and our labors. So if you have regrets or shame over your apparent failures in evangelism, fruit that never came, souls that never seemed to be won or haven't been won yet, I want to encourage you to lay down your worry. Yes, work, but lay down your worry. Lay down your shame, but hold on to your hope. Lay down your regret and pray, but then rest. Evangelism is your job. Sharing the faith is our job. It is what we are called to do. It is a good work for God's glory that we are called to do, to share our faith and give a reason for the hope that lies within us. But conversion is not your job. Generating and giving faith, that's God's job. It's not ours. So if you have shame or regret or pain or worry over your lack of evangelistic fruits, I want to encourage you. It is the gift of God. Pray to him and trust him. Trust his heart for you. Trust his heart for his own glory. Trust his heart for them. It is God's work to give faith, not ours. Go in his grace and peace today.